Oh, hey, buddy, it's your old pal Scott, and this is Let's Talk Tabletop. Why do I have so much crap piled up around me? Well, I'll get into that for a minute, but really, what I want to talk about today is what happens to all this junk when I expire? What happens to all your junk when you expire? Maybe we should think about that. Let's dive in. So the reason for all this junk around me is that we're getting ready to pack up and go to start setting up Shorehammer, which is my friendly, casual narrative convention around the beginning of December every year. So go ahead and get your tickets if you haven't gotten them yet, because it's about to close the box office. Nothing sold at the door. Anyway, the point is I've got a lot of junk, not to mention all of my armies and my 3D printer, etc., etc., etc. So when I finally go on to the next stage in whatever my existence is, what happens to all of this stuff? Well, I was talking to my wife the other day, and I said, when that happens, which it inevitably will, what are you going to do with it all? And she goes, I don't know, throw it away? And she was joking. No, trust me, she was joking. And I'm like, but seriously, though, if I were to get something that was terminal and I knew that my time was limited, I would just start selling this myself, personally, so that my family wouldn't have to deal with it, right? Because I have a lot of connections through Shorehammer and a bunch of tournament organizers and clubs, etc., etc. And I know most of you probably don't have exactly the same problems I have with the copious amounts of hard plastic that you're storing. But, you do have to think about that. And what might actually help you is that maybe you write up a piece of paper. And even if you're perfectly healthy and you're 20 years old, etc., you might just want to put some sort of instructions for your loved ones. Because even though, yes, they could give it away, they could throw it away, whatever, and really it's not your problem at that point, right? But the problem is the lost value. You have spent so much money in all of this stuff that why should your family just give it away? Like, your family should, if they feel like it, get some of those costs back. So, of course, eBay or contacts in the gaming industry that you have, other players, etc., etc. The first thing I would probably do, I know a lot of tournament organizers, and I know a couple other convention organizers. I would start going to them going, hey, do you want some of this? And of course, you're never going to get all of your money back from it. But I think this is a really interesting concept, because most people spend their entire life up until the very minute kind of trying to ignore the finite element of life. And this is actually really something we should think about. So if you worry about your family not getting the value of it, you should tell them, hey, this is, depending on how the size of your collection, hey, this is vaguely how much this is worth if you were to sell it on eBay. This is vaguely, this is what this is. This is a Space Marine army in Warhammer 40K. Okay? And then even if they just listed the whole lot, right? Put it up to an auction, Space Marine lot 40K, and just take pictures and list it. They'd be getting something for all of the money and time that you put into it, right? So really, we really should be thinking about that. Obviously, if you know that the end is coming, then you can give stuff away or sell stuff yourself, but it's just so funny that, I never really considered, like, what happens? I hopefully am quite a ways away from, the end point, the last chapter, if you will. And it's just an interesting topic because I have an immense amount of stuff. An immense. And of course, it's no use to any of my family members. Like, my kids will play Brutality with me or whatever, but they're not war gamers. They would have no interest in all of this stuff. So, making a list would be important of, look, this is a Tyranid 40K Warhammer army. This is a Space Marine 40K army, etc. And that's the least you could do, is just maybe, and this sounds crazy because nobody will ever do this, but what if you just labeled each one of them? What if you just labeled them? Like, there's a piece of paper in your army transport or wherever you keep your army, and you go, this is a Warhammer 40K Space Marine army. And then just estimate a value. $400 or whatever you think they could get. So at least they know. They're like, is this worth 100? Is it worth $1 million? I've got no idea, right? And we've heard a lot of stories online where people will find, every once in a while, someone will find a Warhammer army at like the Goodwill, because the family members, like, I don't know what this is. I'm just going to give it to Goodwill, right? And also you find times where people just give away armies because they don't have the value of it, and they're just like, hey, I don't want to throw it away. I want someone else to make use of it, et cetera, et cetera. But in my opinion, I want my family to get something out of all of this money. Now, of course, I enjoy it in the meantime, et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, I don't want it given away, and I don't want it thrown away, certainly. Hopefully, they can get something for it, even if it's 10, 20% of what I put into it. So have you ever thought about this? And is this something you've discussed with your loved ones or your partner or your best friend or whatever? It would also be cool to make a pact with your friend. Hey, whichever one of us dies first, the other one gets our stuff. You know, that sort of stuff. I mean, that sort of stuff actually does happen. I used to have an agreement with one of my friends a long time ago. We're not friends anymore. I wonder if it still stands. But he had the most Warhammer stuff I've ever seen in my entire life. Like the most. And I mean, rooms and rooms in his house. He was a little bit of a hoarder. Actually, he was a real big hoarder. But the point is, so much, like, completely new in the package, on the sprue, still sealed product. And I told him, like, hey, you know what? If you ever pass and I'm still around, which was fairly likely. So that was mean. But I would say, hey, if you pass, I'm going to offer your wife a bunch of money for all this stuff. And he's like, yeah, go ahead and do it. At least you'd get something for it. And the amount of stuff he had was probably, I'm going to say, between $50,000 and $100,000. Like a lot. So if I gave her $15,000 or something, took out a small loan and gave her $15K or something, it would still be worth it to her because she gets that much money. And otherwise, she's just going to throw the stuff away, you know? So a lot of people don't think about their end. A lot of people don't think about what happens to their stuff afterwards. Maybe, just maybe, tell your best friend that he gets your stuff when you die. Or maybe, just maybe, put a little note in every single army transport and go, hey, this is what this is. Just bulk. It'd be even better if you put instructions. Hey, put this on eBay as a Warhammer 40K Space Marine lot. And that's that, you know, and just get however much money you can for it. So I just think that was an interesting topic because I got sitting here thinking about all this junk, and I'm like, you know what? That's going to be quite a task to liquidate it when I have departed from the realm. Trying not to say, like, the obvious words, because I don't know anything about the algorithm. I don't know anything. So I don't know if it's going to, like, get me, you know, blacklisted and they set my channel on fire if I say, you know, things, certain words. So anyway, thank you to all my beautiful, sexy, good-smelling Patreon patrons right here. Look at these people. Man, they are hot. They are hot, hot, hot. And it's at this point of the show where I like to share a little bit of a tidbit of something about each and every one of them. Mike Cowley claims that he can smell the color orange. Meanwhile, Hero always thought that Star Wars was spelled with a Z. Grendel claims that him and Beowulf have completely came to terms. Beef Supreme only eats raw, uncooked beef. Meanwhile, Kevin believes that he was a janitor in a coliseum in a past life. Jordan Johnson believes the hokey pokey is what it's all about. Peyton Suffering lives in the ruins of an old library. Fraudfishy and Saul actually claim that they can speak telepathically together and finish each other's sentences, but to be honest with you, I think it's just practiced. Nate was recently treated with an elephant ride. The Peppers accidentally read The Lord of the Rings with the book upside down, and the story turned out wildly different. Kenneth is now possessed by a witch. Watch your dice around Davich, because he will eat them. Brendan's not afraid of the dark, he's afraid of the light, which is weird. And Mitch claims he's a were chicken. I'll see you guys next week.